My name is Kathryn Cram, and
Okay, you got it. You got it. The Lord's with you.
I have felt the torment of the past and the loss of my babies.
You're going good.
When I decided my babies would compromise my life and chose abortion instead, little did I know that my babies would always remain in my life, only I would never be able to hold them. In my early 20s, I lived a life only on my terms, living with abusive boyfriends in the fast lane of bars and nightclubs. When a boyfriend drove me to a hospital and paid for my D&C, I never questioned that it was a baby that was being taken from my body. Life was a blur of drugs and alcohol, with my new boyfriend beating me up regularly. I believed I deserved that abuse and accepted drugs and alcohol into my body to quell the pain. When he drove me to the abortion clinic, I was scared, but he said that I had to work and it had to be done. I remember the sound of a vacuum, the tugging, people rushing and avoiding my eyes, and a cold-faced nurse. After the abortion, I remember he took me to eat. I had strong cramps, but he made no attempt to leave, and I sat in the restaurant bleeding on myself. As he was embarrassed, he brought me home and left. Still, it never occurred to me that what I was doing was wrong. I continued to abuse my body and soul. My boyfriend did give me permission to give birth to my daughter, who is now 35 years old. After the birth of my daughter, I agreed to another therapeutic abortion and sterilization. It was easy to validate my decision when my doctor never explained that I would be killing a child that was growing inside me. My life went on. Years later, I met a man and we were married. I went to the doctor to get my medical records when we moved, but never looked at them. I was ashamed and thought he would reject me if I explained what I had done. I joined a church and began to help in ministry and began to learn about abortion, but never thought about my abortions. Years later, we were moving back to California, and I had to get my medical files from my gynecologist. My husband had gone on ahead of me, so I stayed at a friend's house. That night, something told me to look at them. I was brought to my knees. It said, specimen is submitted in 3 parts. Part 1 consists of 40 grams of placental-like tissue. No fetal parts are identified. Part 2 is a pink gray wedge-shaped piece of tissue measuring 1.4 centimeters in length and 0 centimeters in diameter, sectioned and totally embedded. Part 3 is a similar appearing tubular piece of tissue measuring 1.4 centimeters, sectioned and totally embedded. As the tears began to flow, I finally had realized the horror of my decisions. I joined a prayer group in my new church, which led me to ask for the Lord's forgiveness, and my healing began. I had never discussed this with my husband for 30 years until I joined him in therapy for PTSD last year. He never knew why I embraced the pro-life movement until I admitted that I also suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder from the trauma of my loss of my babies. We talked and cried together. I hope that my story will reach out to others to tell theirs, so that the real story about abortion will be unmasked. That's why I'm silent no more. Thank you.